Well, howdy everybody. So I thought I'd give a little bit of a video on the final project. The final project changed for this semester completely. It's a completely redone final project, and there's some items that I've had to modify in the final project description to make it easier to understand. But I was going to go through some of these items and let you see kind of the skills that are going to be involved and that it's not overwhelming. So first, I'm just going to go through the general instructions. The first part is that you're going to be creating a 4-page newsletter, and we have an example from campus. This is what a newsletter that we would produce on campus looks like. Yours does not have to look exactly like this. It's just an example. It's a newsletter, multiple columns, lots of pictures. There's headings, there's titles, there's dates, there's pictures on one side, text on the other, those kind of things. That's what we're really trying to test you on with this final project. So I'm going to close this out. That's your example. So we want a 4-page newsletter. On each one of those pages are going to be articles. So like page 1 will be an article. So you're going to have 4 articles, one on each page, of a skill that you learned in this class, your 4 favorite skills that you learned. So it could be page 1 is dot leader tabs. Page 2 is citations. Page 3 is something else. Hopefully you get the point. It's just going to be an article that you just write about. This is how you do drop cap. This is how you do indentations. And you have the information on how to do those skills. And then we want to make sure that we single space the entire document. We want you to use a border around each page. I'm not going to show you how to do that because I assume you already know how to do that because we've had assignments where you've done it. We want your content, which means the items that you're typing in, so your descriptions of stuff, we want that to be in 2 or 3 columns, just like our example. You notice that in this example, there's 3 columns, and in this page, there's actually just 1 column. So you don't have to mimic this exactly, but it's just to give you an idea of how a professional newsletter would look like. So we want to make sure that you have 2 or 3 columns. We want a footer on each page that has the page number or document title. So you want a footer on each one. Each article needs to have a heading name and a heading to style applied. That just means that at the top of each page, let me pull up my example page here. Each article needs to have a name, a heading name, and a heading to style. What that means is that, let's say this is my drop cap. Drop cap, that's the skill I'm going to illustrate now. So I want to make sure I go to home and I want a heading to style applied to that. That's what that means. Each article needs to have a heading name, that's my heading name, and a heading to style applied. So I applied the heading to style up here. We want you to label some paragraphs with subheadings with style 3. So maybe this is a subparagraph here. I'm just going to do that and do heading style 3 for that one. And then we want you to apply a theme and list the names of the theme that you're using. You just apply a theme to the entire document. So you're going to come to design, choose a theme, and apply that to the entire document. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm trying to keep this text kind of clean. And I'm going to delete that so I can just show you some of the skills that we're asking for in this particular assignment. So I'm going to put these side by side so you can see what I'm doing and you can see the items in the final project that we're working on. So I've already done, you want to do the theme, you want to make sure you hit paragraphs. It's just telling you that at the top of every page, not the top of every page, but the top of every article, you're going to have a heading with that. It's defined with a heading to style. Okay, so we want to make sure that at least one paragraph is left aligned, one paragraph has a drop cap first letter, at least one paragraph has justified alignment, and then one paragraph is right aligned. So I'm going to do those really quick. So I have a couple paragraphs already just kind of created here. I'm going to make sure you can see that those are paragraphs. We want one that's left aligned. So right here, it's already left a line. There we go. Click on it. This paragraph, I want to be justify alignment, which is this one here where it looks like straight lines on both sides. Click that. Look it. Now I have straight lines on both sides. I'm going to put a drop cap here, so that means I'm going to highlight that first character. Actually, that's a bad example. I'm going to highlight the first character there. And from there, I need to make the screen a little bit larger so I can see all my stuff. I am going to insert a drop cap. And this is under insert, and then drop cap. And there's a drop cap. Okay. So then that's our drop cap. I've already made it through these first 4 pretty quick. The hard part is going to actually just creating your content, creating the paragraphs that you need. They want you to put this quote, which I already put in the document. That's where my drop cap is. I'm actually going to get rid of my drop cap. Oops. I will get rid of the drop cap. Or maybe not. There we go. See, even instructors have problems from time to time. All right, Word, I told you no drop cap. All right. We're going to do it without it for right now. All right, so we want to put this quote in the newsletter, and we want it to be double indented. So here's that quote. I'm going to highlight the whole quote, and we're going to go to layout, and we want to double indent this one. So we're going to indent it left, and we're going to indent it right. I'm just going to say 1/2 inch on both. And now you can see that it's double indented. And the next thing it wants us to do is we want you to make one paragraph line spacing 1.5. So if I go to this next paragraph, highlight it, I am going to go to paragraph here on the home, and I'm going to say line spacing 1.5. Next one we want you to do, and we have the millimeters in here if you need to convert it to metric. We want one paragraph to have an indent on the first line of 0.5 inches only. So I'm going to do it for this paragraph here. I'm going to go to layout, and I only want the first line at 1/2 inch. You can see my little preview down here. It already did it. See if I arrow down, you can see that preview changing. So now that is indented, the first line by 0.5 inches. We want you to have at least one paragraph set with a hanging indent. So on this next paragraph, I'll do the hanging indent. I'll come over to layout, go to paragraph. Oops, sorry, wrong one. I'm going to come here and do special. I'm going to do hanging. And look, we have a hanging indent now. Super easy. Then we need you to have a numbered list. There should be at least 4 numbers. And then we're going to create a bulleted list. So I've already got a list here. It's at least 4. And we want it to be a numbered list. And I'm going to just say it's a multi-level list. I'll just click OK. And I'm going to get creative, and I'm going to say this one's going to be 2A. See? It is 2A. That satisfies that requirement. And then we want you to have a bulleted list created with a picture of my choice. It can't be an icon that's already in the bullet library. It has to be something new. So watch this. I'm going to highlight these characters here. I'm going to go to my bullet list, do the drop down. I want to define a new bullet, and I'm going to say I want it to be a picture because that's easy. And I'm just going to say, let's do a Bing image search. And it comes up with some categories. So I'm going to do a cat. No, let's do a dog. So I'm going to do I think that's a dog from Garfield. Do that one. Click OK. You notice that bullet is pretty tiny. So we're going to make this text a little bit bigger so we can see the little dog a little bit better. So that's our bulleted list. Then we need to have you do a paragraph in italics. That's super easy. Highlight a paragraph. You can either do Control-I or you can hit the italics button there. Now we're in italics. Then we're on to including a minimum of 4 pictures with captions. So we just want you to put a picture in there with a caption. So I'm going to insert a picture. I go to stock images because that's just easy. Oh, look, it's a mountain. It's a mountainside. And then I have the picture there. I'm going to make it a little bit manageable. I'm just going to right click and do insert caption. And I'm going to say figure 1, mountain. And then you can see that I have my caption there. So you're going to do that for 4 pictures. Then the next thing we want you to do is include a 3-column, 5-row table that includes this information. Now, this is where it gets a little bit fun and tricky. So we're going to go to insert table, and we said it's going to be 3, what did we say? 3 columns, 5 rows. So we're going to go 3 columns, 5 rows. There we go. I'm going to squeeze this a little bit, go like that. And we want it to look something like this. So we want assignment, skills, and points. So assignment, skills, points. I can't remember because my brain can't remember stuff. So we're going to do cover. You'll get the point here. I'm doing it abbreviated just for the sake of time. Poster. Now here's a little trick. I don't recommend putting in your skills until after you've created the chart. So we're going to ask you to create a chart, and I'll show you why. So we're going to put in the points that you received for these different assignments. I'm going to say I did poorly on navigation. I did pretty good on that one, and the poster I did 10. So if I click here in the little plus sign, I'm going to make this large here so you can see what I'm doing. I click on this plus sign to select everything. And now we want to insert a chart. You would think that you would go here, but the easiest way to populate this data is you can come here to Object. Now this is just one of the ways. This is the way I prefer. Go to Microsoft Graph Chart. And when you do that, it automatically pulls in the data from the table. And you can highlight this column for skills. Just right click and choose delete. When you do that, now I have a chart that is based on this data. You can make it as close to this one as you want, or you can leave it default. It's fine. You're showing me that you have the skills necessary to do it. And now I can come in here and say, learned new things. That's my skill on that one. And you notice it doesn't modify the chart. So I recommend putting the skills after you've created the chart. That'll save you a little bit of frustration. And then we come down to some additional specific requirements for pages. So page 1 and page 4 are going to have some very specific requirements. Page 1, we want you to have a title. So I'm going to just kind of enter down a little bit. We want a title for the newsletter. So we want it to be Biz 240 Learning Microsoft Word. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to show you a little tip. If you don't want the formatting to carry across when you paste something in, click on this little arrow under Paste and choose Paste Special. You can choose Unformatted Text, and it just brings it in its raw form. So I'm going to give this one, I'm going to spice this one up and say, I want it to look cool. How about that? So I'm going to say word art. I'm going to make it look fancy. So now I got some fancy word art there for that one. And then the requirement says we want an image or a shape of your own creation. What I'm looking for is just whether or not you can actually put in a shape. So I'm going to put in a star. Draw that one in there. I want this one to be anchored tight with text. So that way the text is out of the way. There we go. Look, I got a shape. And I'm going to move it over here so it's kind of centered. And then we want you to add a date field. Oh, actually, sorry. We want your name under. And we want your name to be word art and to be fancy word art. So I want you to go to word art. I'm going to choose this one with the shadows because it's neato. And then We want to give the text some effect. We'll do that here in just a second. All right, so now we have the text in here is our word art. Up here in the word art styles, there's a button for text effects. And I want to do I'll do that one. And there we go. Got our text, got our word art and text effects in there. I'm going to center this one so that way it looks cool. There we go. That fulfills the requirement. Down here you can see the example. Got the title, shape. You can put an image inside the shape if you want. And my name is underneath it. And then we want a date field just underneath that, or just to the right of it. And hint, we are going to insert a quick part, a field. And we want it to be date. And you can choose any date format that you want. I'll do this one. And we want it to be right aligned. So this one is right aligned because the picture is there, but I can say I'm going to wrap this a different way if I want. I can say it's going to be behind text. There we go. And that text moves over. So you can do it however you want. That's just one way that I choose to do it. Then at the bottom right hand corner of the first page, you need to have a table of contents, but we want you to do this using dot leader tabs. I'm not going to show you how to do this one because I've already done a video on dot leader tabs that you can go back and refer to. And then we want you to use paragraph shading to shade the background of the table of contents. Again, that's a skill that we've done before. Then we want to include on page 4, so we're assuming this is page 4 now over here. We want to have, I'm just going to view this as one page. So we're going to pretend this is page 4, and I have some columns. So I'm going to insert some columns here. So now you see we have 2 columns, and the requirement is saying we want to have a shaded text box stretching over all 3 columns on page 4. So you can see that text box here in this example. You can do it any number of ways, just put your cursor anywhere. This is the way that I do it, and there's other ways of doing this. So don't take mine as the only way. This is just the way I like to do it. So I'm going to select text box, just use the generic text box. I am going to say that this text box is going to be in front of text because that makes it easy for me to move it around. It doesn't modify the text underneath it. And I'm just going to span it across until it does a little quick snap there with that little green line. You can do the same thing there. And I'm just going to insert a fill. Dark gray fill. There we go. You notice that looks very similar to our example, and the beautiful part is I can move this anywhere I want. It's not going to affect the text, so I can move it down, or you can do wrapping. You can do text, you can do wrapping around this image if you want. I can say it's going to be tight with the text, or I can do through. I'll do tight. Now you can see that as I move it, the text is going to move with it. So just your preference, however you want to do it. I prefer to just leave in front of text and just move the text on my own because Word sometimes does some weird stuff when you move items around. And then the final thing is at the bottom half of page 4, we want you to have a mailing label using merge fields. Again, I have a video out there on how to do the merge fields, so I'm not going to show you to do that. And it can just be the address block. Super simple. Doesn't have to be all of the fields in there. We just want to make sure that you are showing that you know how to do a merge field in there. So just make it look like this. So some folks have asked, well, what is this for? Sometimes in a newsletter, you're going to fold the paper in half, and that is your address label that you're sending out to people, and it'll have the address block on there. So hopefully this helps. Sorry for the 20-minute video, almost 20-minute video, but I just wanted to just give you some ideas of the skills that we're looking for and what it needs to look like based on the example. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Remember to read the instructions, very detailed, and then look at the rubric. What am I going to be grading you on? And there's a lot of items here. It's worth 100 points, so it's a big chunk of your grade. And again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I've already had a lot of students reach out with questions, and I'm able to go back and forth and answer those questions or even do Zoom sessions to help you out. I'm here to help you and here to help you navigate this final project. You guys are doing awesome work, and keep it up. You only have one more week left. Take care.